All right, we are live. Hi, everybody. Happy it's April 3rd, and it's day, I can't even remember, of social distancing. Tonight is a good excuse for Keith and I to get dressed. And since we're in front of the camera, I'm in front of the camera, but you guys nicely get to hang out and relax at home and taste some wine with your PJs. Hi, Lisa Gilbert. Welcome. I hope you and Stu are doing well. Hi, Mary. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. I am just greeting everybody and confirming that it's fine that you guys are in PJs to taste your wine. Whenever could you go to a tasting room and go in your PJs, unless they have a PJ day? I'm practicing with my wine opener and opening my Argentinian Malbec. This one could actually age for a very long time. Hello, Marla. Hi, Greer. Welcome, kids. It's nice to see you all online commenting. It's nice that my wine opener worked. Hi, Liz. Welcome. Nice to see your beautiful smiling face. Hi, Jess Weller. Welcome. I feel like I need like different welcome words like the kids do in their and like in the morning first thing, you know what I mean, Keith? When they say, I don't know, konnichiwa, and they each go around and they do the sign language, and yeah. Well, welcome everybody. Hi, Lori. Welcome. Happy Friday. Thanks for joining us. All right. And oh, hey, Tina, how are you? Welcome. We're doing Malbec, Tina. Woohoo!
Make way for Malbec.
Make way for Malbec. All right. And so we're going to begin because it is after 7. And I know that there are lots of people who are joining us tonight that I will not be able to see. So as I say every week, hi, Mike, welcome. If you have a friend joining, or hi, Leslie, welcome. If you have someone joining who you think I might not see or I don't welcome, please go ahead and welcome them on your own, on a comment, and that will pick up any comments that they have. Hi, Tracy, welcome. I'm hoping that a lot of you are in your PJs with your bottle open so that you are relaxed. But as I was saying at the beginning, this is a nice excuse for me to get dressed for the week. To put on some makeup, do a little upkeep. So anyway.
You're going to pay for that.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so I'm going to just jump right in, and I'm going to pour my wine. So go ahead and open your bottles and join us. Tonight I am drinking, Keith and I are drinking, from the Familia Mayol blend, and it's Cuatro Primos from the Yucca Valley in Mendoza, Argentina. And as you can see, this is actually a special bottle because the winemaker was at Chuck's in Windham, New Hampshire, his store, and Mateo, talked with me for a long time, and he owns real estate that is actually at the highest elevation. It's the highest elevation in Mendoza, Argentina. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pour. And actually, before I pour, I am wearing pants, Mar. Thank you for asking. I am. And welcome, Anne. I had a little bit of difficulty tonight picking a glass. Okay, not a big decision, not a big deal, but I do like to use the right glass. So I have lots of different glasses for different things. When you drink Malbec, it's not highly aromatic, so there's not a lot of smell to it. Not as much as a lot of other wines. And so you want something that has a smaller top to it and a big bulb on the bottom so that you can warm it, because you do want it to be warmed up, and you're introducing the oxygen, but then it's focused up to the middle. So some of my red wine glasses were really too wide. So I was debating between this one, and this is a tasting glass that I got from France. And it's from Chateau Pape Clement in Bordeaux, at a castle that my friend and I stayed in. And this would be wonderful, even though it's little, the red wine would sit in the bottom and be focused up to the top. So you could actually even use like a white wine glass for tasting Malbec. And people may think you are wrong, but you are not wrong. You are right. This is another one. It's enough of a bulb on the bottom, and then it focuses up. This glass is actually, it really is a white wine glass. It doesn't have enough of a bulb on the bottom for red. Okay, so I know some of you are curious about glasses, so that is my little spiel on glasses. Okay, so welcome to our weekly Facebook Live tasting, bringing people together with wine exploration. Tonight we're tasting Malbec, as you know, and hopefully this will give you a chance to take a break and think about wine for a little bit and take a break from everything else that's going on around you. Hopefully my kids won't hear that and come running in. Okay, so please grab your bottle, open it if you haven't. Feel free to drink while I talk. Hi, Pam, welcome. And hi, Nance, welcome. So definitely this tasting is for all of you. I enjoy it. I love, kind of catching up and doing some research. And Nancy, I'm so glad that you're looking forward to this. I look forward to it as well. So I enjoy it, but it's really for you guys. It's 1 hour for you to learn, to feel connected, to enjoy your wine together, and to ask any questions that you have. No question is stupid. Wait. That's not true. Keith is sitting next to me. He may take that as a challenge. So I take it back. Keith is my husband, for those of you who don't know him. And so for tonight, you're going to need a glass, and you may have some extras for the experiments we sometimes like to do. And but if you want to just listen and drink in your PJs, go ahead. And if you want, I keep mentioning PJs. I must want to be in my PJs. And if you want to comment and interact, please do that. And if you have any questions, please feel free to comment in. For those of you who are joining for the first time, I'm Alison Miller. I have a wonderful group of supporters who join me each week, and I so appreciate you, and we'll toast to you in a minute. But others are joining as well who may be for the first time. And so those of you who don't know me, I own Artisan Wine Group, and we create connections through unpretentious wine exploration. And I'm also the creator of Vino, the wine tasting card game. And so at AWG, we are focusing on bringing people together in whatever way works for you around wine exploration. Welcome, Melissa Toro-Locke. And I'm sorry yours isn't working. It may be that your bandwidth, and we've found that if people have kids, maybe watch TV or not stream at the same time, that might go over a little better, okay? So we're focusing on doing virtual tasting parties as well. So if you have somebody in your life who has a birthday party coming up, bridal shower, friends and family gatherings, we're doing virtual tastings. So, okay. So here's the ground rules for those of you who are joining us. If I can't see all the comments because I'm using an Apple product, a friend who joins, please greet them. Once you say their name or tag them, they then can comment in, and a lot of times their comments will come up. Okay. So, all right, let's begin tonight with a toast to my biggest fans, those of you who I can see have commented in. I just want to thank you for being in there for us week after week and offering your support always. So grateful to all of you. I wouldn't be able to do this without you. All right, so I'm just going to pour my Malbec. And I did check it. Cheers to all of you. Oh, that's so good. Keith, do you want some, or you?
Yes.
Okay, here, I'll hand it to you. Okay, so good. Oh, so good. All right, so cheers to all of you. And also welcome to everybody else, everybody who's joining for the first time, everybody who's wanting to know what this is all about. Welcome to all of you. Cheers. So Liz asks, is this a virtual tasting for business social hours? Absolutely, that's a great idea. In fact, this time, 7 o'clock, my family is all West Coast. And so they're still working. And so, yes, absolutely, business hours. Okay, so tonight we're going to taste Malbec, as I've said a million times, and we're using a specific glass, or a glass that will funnel up the air. Sorry, I'm reading some of the comments, and everybody's trying to welcome each other. And Jess Weller has been tagged a top fan. So cheers to you, Jess, as well. All right. So Now, if I run through this too quickly, by the way, you're welcome to stop and ask me questions. But there's all level of tasters on the call. Some of you have been through this with me a million times, but what's happening is people are watching after this recording, and so just in case, I'll cover it quickly. But if it's too quick, feel free to. You can always message me and ask me questions as well. Okay, so I'm going to begin with a quote this evening. All right, if you just drink a glass of wine without thinking of all of this, that will work just fine. But there is a total experience, a continuum of dreams, senses, sex, passion, and discovery that you can access anytime you're willing to slow down and consider what's in your glass. I urge you to try. It's in that place that you'll completely get that the price tag means nothing. I tried to find the author of that. It was someone, I couldn't find his name. So
Rosalie from Montreal.
Yes. Oh, welcome, Rosalie, Gordon's mom. Welcome. I think you get the note for being the furthest away participant this evening. And Anne, great. Lisa, thank you for tagging Anne. I can see her comments now. Fantastic. All right, so we're going to think about what we get out of this wine tasting. So certainly we get a feeling of connectivity. We learn a little bit, but you also learn your flavor profile. And what that helps you do is it helps you figure out how to order things. And so I was thinking about this tonight. It's important for you to walk away with some things. And so I was thinking about when you go to a wine tasting and you go into a fantastic wine store, there's a really nice feeling that with all the drunk people, right? Everybody loves everyone. You go in, everybody loves everyone, and you're tasting the wine and you're enjoying the company, hopefully, and you're trying to figure out what you like because you want to figure out what you want to buy, and you buy that wine, you bring it home, and you don't remember what you drank, what you tasted, what it tasted like, right? And so knowing the terms helps you kind of figure that out. It helps you, yes. And Marla, maybe the author of that quote was a Costco wine person. But wine, knowing the words to use helps you figure out what to order online. What are you looking for when you taste? And not only that, but when you go and taste in a store or you go into a tasting room in Napa, it's the same thing. They're going to present to you this wine and they're going to tell you what you're tasting. And as they do it, you're going to be picking things up. But if someone said to me, this is super earthy, I'm still going to try it, but this is super earthy and it's really, really tannic and the acid is really strong, well, I'm going to get that likely it's young if it's from Napa, right? And so I may approach it a different way. Instead of thinking, I'm not going to buy this, I might think, I'm going to buy this and I'm going to lay it down for 20 years. Now, that never happens. I never, ever do. And so, but anyway, so that's one of the reasons, another reason for paying attention to when we taste. Okay. Those of you who want to actively participate, grab a paper and a pen. I'm going to have you write down what you're tasting once we get there. Those of you who don't just want to listen, do that and see if you can pick out some of the qualities of what we're tasting. Okay. So, Malbec, you serve it at 69 degrees. 69 degrees, you say, Alison, that sounds very warm. Well, you are right. It is warm. And that's why it's important to have a bulb on the bottom because your fingers will warm it up. Yep. This is cold. It came out of our wine fridge a short time ago. It's still unbelievable and tight and really good. But it did come out of our wine fridge. So it needs to warm up a little. Okay. So we're going to do our C sip or C swirl, smell, sip. Okay, so let's start off with seeing. What color do you see? Usually you hold it up to something white, but alas, look, you cannot see through it. It is opaque. Okay. What colors do you guys have? What color do you have? No colors.
Purple.
Yes. Thank you, Greer. 69 degrees does sound too warm. It does. It sounds like, I don't know. Yeah, it does sound warm. But that's how you're going to get all of the tastes out of a big Malbec. And they're big and they're beautiful. Oh, good. Melissa's in. Hooray. Garnet. Tracy Partington. Woohoo. Garnet is correct. Opaque purple, says Lisa Gilbert. Yes, absolutely. And we are drinking, Nancy. For the fifth time, I'm sorry, we're drinking Malbec. We are drinking Malbec. All right, and it's dark purple. Hi, Erin, welcome. Grab your Malbec, grab your glass, okay? Now I'm going to teach you guys something interesting. First, when we look at our wine, many of you have heard me say this before, but when a waitress brings over your wine and pours it, that you're looking for faults. Okay, deep red, good, good. Okay, I found a fault in my wine, and it has to do with the way I opened it, to be truthful. The cork, actually, I blame it on myself, but the cork came out totally clean. So there's a piece of cork floating. I don't want to stick my finger in it now, but so that would be something that you would remove. You don't necessarily want to drink. Not dangerous for you, but hi, Stu, welcome. All right, nice, Melissa. Yep, purple. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to teach you something new. This was the new thing. All right. So if you look at your wine, you might be able to tell in the picture. But if you look at the wine, a Malbec, the color is very much like a Syrah or a Mourvèdre, very dark, very opaque, purple, ruby. Garnet, it might have a little brownish tint to it. That would be garnet. Inky purple, Marla says. Yep, inky purple, but it's a little bit darker purple. Very opaque, yes. I'm not sure if Stu means he's hogging. Oh, she's hogging the comments. I thought Stu meant Lisa was out for the pig for the night or something, like getting the pig in the backyard. All right. Hi, Laura. Welcome. So Stu went and got his own connection. Got it. Keith has his too, Stu. So anyway, we're looking at color. It's purple. And on the top, on the rim, you're going to see magenta. You will only see magenta on the top of the rim if it's a Malbec. Mind blown. There you go. We're done. No, I'm kidding. All right. So, but that's true. Hi, Melissa Davis. It's nice to see you. Yes. So we all have seen the color. Yep. Dark, ruby, opaque, and you're going to see magenta at the top. Okay. Everything you said is correct. You're describing what you're seeing. Did anybody see any faults? I don't know if you did. I did. Okay. And so we're going to get into the swirl. All right. So I am a klutz. So I like to set my wine glass down, but I can't really show you that. But I set it down and I swirl. Okay. Most people hold it in the air and swirl. Either way works. Okay. And then you're going to smell it. Ah, Melissa sees magenta. Greer loves magenta. That's perfect. That's perfect. And I wore magenta on my necklace for that purpose as well. All right. So we're swirling. What are we smelling? Is this wine highly aromatic? Is it? What does that mean? Well, do you get a lot of smells when you smell it? Well, Melissa, we're happy that you could pop in for just a few minutes. Cork in mine too, Anne. Yeah. You can take it out with a spoon or something, but it's not really going to affect you unless there's a lot. And the interesting thing is you'll notice my cork is intact. This is the cork, and still I have a piece of cork in my glass. So it happens. It happens. All right. So Melissa spilled when she swirled. Excellent. Save it for later, Melissa. And all right. So Lisa Grady says, or Lisa Gilbert, sorry, Stu, says she's not getting a lot of aromatics. And Tracy is getting the smoke. Yes, you're getting the smoke, but not aromatics. Well, what does that mean? Marla says she's smelling dirt, stones, and almost concrete. Yeah, so there's some earth in there, okay? What's happening is the Malbec fruit is not rising to the top, okay? Our solution to make that a little bit more, to get a little bit more aroma, if you cover it, which is really hard, Melissa, you may not want to do this. You swirl it, cover it, and release. I get a little bit more. I get a dark, dark berry fruit is what came out of mine. Okay, and some smoke. Okay. And Stu smells butter. If you really smell butter and it's from your wine, Stu, that is from oak. That's from oak. Okay. Liz, yeah, you're getting the earth. And all of these things that okay, this is really interesting in my mind. Fruit is the initial smell, taste, quality that you get from the grapes. Then the grape stem, the grape skin adds additional taste to it. Then, as we talked about before, the winemaking, if you oak it. Now, Malbec tends to be a mix. It's oaked, but usually not quite that long. But it's that oak that's creating that earth and that smoke and all of these, what we would call secondary and tertiary smells that you guys are getting, the butter. So that's a lot. That's really a lot. Now, Leslie comments, I'm getting a lot of scents, and you don't always pick up, by the way, the oak smells right off. So Leslie, hi Audra, welcome. Leslie says, I'm getting a lot of sense. So Leslie, what I want you to do is try and think of what those smells that are coming up. Is there anything that it reminds you of? Are there any memories or any recipes you've ever made that it reminds you of? And that's where you get those words to identify the smells. Okay? All right. And so we swirled, we smelled, and now because taste is a huge
Memory.
yeah, taste is hugely affected by your taste palate and also your sense of smell. Your olfactory senses and your taste buds go together along with your memories. Okay, so it's all impacted when you're tasting. So Melissa asks, what is oak? That's a great question, Melissa. So when they make red wine and they take out the juice from the grape. So they press, usually gently, depending on who's making it. If it's a less expensive wine, it's a voluminous wine where they make a lot of it, they may not be as careful with the pressing process, but you get juice when you press it. You take that juice and you allow it to ferment. And it usually has natural yeast that will cause it to ferment. And then you put it into oak barrels. You may have it ferment in oak, or you may put it in after, depending on what the varietal is. And they're big barrels of oak, from oak trees cut in slots. So you've seen those big barrels. And yes, it's a process that is going to affect your wine. It's going to affect the mouthfeel of your wine. It's going to affect the smell, and it's going to affect the taste. Okay? All right, we're getting into the taste qualities now. So first we're going to identify the fruit. Greer's tasting cherries. Yes. Tina is tasting black cherries. Yes. Greer, are your cherries, are the cherries you're tasting red or are they black? Okay, so that's, now you're starting to distinguish even more. All right. What is anybody else tasting? And those of you who haven't tasted with us before, oftentimes I will say, when you take your first taste, it overwhelms your taste buds. But when you take your second taste, that's when you really start to distinguish the different tastes. Okay, black cherry, yes. So your first, and then your second. Okay, all right, Marla's tasting vanilla, cherry, and blackberry. Yes, vanilla coming from the oak, the cherry and blackberry from the fruit. And Anne is smelling black cherry, very good. Yep. Yep. Lisa gets cherry and vanilla. Leslie, black cherry, and Greer, black cherry. Yep. Good. Dark, dark cherry. Yes. Okay. And so that's a great question. Liz, hi, Christine. Welcome. Thank you so much for posting the tasting today. So Liz asks a great question. She says, does cherry taste different than black cherry? And Christine, we're in the middle of tasting the Malbec, and we're picking out what taste qualities that we're tasting. So red cherry and black cherry. If you imagine, if you've had red cherry from a store, just a regular red cherry, and then you've had a black cherry, there's a big difference. The black cherry is sweeter. It's a darker taste to it. Same thing with red plum and black plum. Red plum has almost a tartar taste to it, and black has a sweeter. And so when we wine taste, we discern between black fruits and red fruits. So when I took my exam, I had to call out, did I taste red plum or black plum? And all of that it helps you figure out what you want to be tasting. So if you like red cherries and you like black cherries, that's going to tell you that you like Merlot, you may like Rioja, you may like Zinfandel, and you may like Malbec, because there's black fruits in some and red fruits in others. Okay? Tasting cheese, because he's eating cheese, yep. All right, Leslie gets the vanilla. That's from the oak. And Marla says she's tasting black. Interesting that they put it in old fashioned. Oh, that's interesting. So almost like a stewed cherry in a way. Okay. Jess gets blackberry and black cherry. Yes. And Scott gets cherry and currant. Absolutely. Some of you might be getting a fig or a raisin. The currant, right? The currant will give that. Yep, black cherries, definitely tart. So Tracy's a little tartar. And Tracy gets pomegranate. Tracy, my question to you is, are you drinking a Malbec from Cahors in France, or are you drinking an Argentinian Malbec? Lisa gets smooth and sweeter side with vanilla and dark. Okay, and Liz is getting some leather. That leather is coming from the oak and the aging, the bottle aging as well. Okay. So as we get to go down, a lot of you are getting vanilla. You're getting cherries and dark fruit. And it's interesting. Marla's discerning between cherries she's tasting. I don't know those specific types of cherries. There's a chance, Marla, that yours could have been aged in a bourbon barrel. Okay. And so Melissa Davis says, what about Pinot Noir? Any cherry taste? Pinot Noir. It would be more of a red cherry, red berry taste, Melissa. That's a great question. Yeah. And then Greer says cherry leather or dark cherry leather. Oh, she's responding to Liz. Okay. All right. And so Tracy says from Argentina, and most of you will likely be drinking ones from Argentina. And so Greer is ready for me to move on from the taste qualities.
What's Greer?
Anne has leather, and Melissa has, you're welcome, Melissa. Okay, so here's the basic Malbec taste qualities. I think we get the trend, right? Everybody's kind of tasting the same things. It's very full-bodied. It's known for its plump, dark fruits, flavors, and smoky finish. It's black cherry, plum, raspberry, blackberry, blueberry, and raisin. And then you may also get cocoa, milk chocolate, coffee, mocha, molasses, leather, black pepper. You could get green stem if it's a little bit young. And you might get some gravel or wet stone. Hi, Sahal, welcome. Thanks for joining us again. Gravel, tobacco, oak, and from the oak, you might get vanilla, toasted nut, chocolate, mocha. Okay, so those are some basic taste qualities, the basic characteristics of what you might taste in a Malbec. Malbecs are a beautiful wine. People liken them to Merlot because there's a lot you can do with it, and they're a crowd pleaser. So we did a wine tasting with 5 Malbecs, and they were a big range of where they were from, and you got a different taste qualities with each. So it's those basic dark fruits and the big full body, and then the nuances come from where it's grown and where it's from. Welcome, Mary Beth. And let's see, Marla says, oh, yep, she's talking about her cherry. And Lori's going for 2015. Is that old for a Malbec? So I'm going to jump into that in a minute, Lori. These are great comments, and keep them coming. I'm going to jump into talking about where Malbec is grown and how that impacts what you're drinking. Okay.
So your answer's going to be no for that.
for the year?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll pin that. Okay, so Malbec is only grown in 7 countries. It's a very particular grape, and it's in cooler climates like Cahors, France, Patagonia, Argentina, and Washington in the U.S. You get more of a black cherry taste. As you move to a warmer climate, you get raspberry to plum to blackberry. And so in the warmest climates like Mendoza, Argentina, you're going to get blackberry. Okay, so most of you will likely have an Argentinian Malbec. I do have a warm climate, Long Shadow Ranch Malbec. It's thin, and it's more of a red cherry, and that's a very warm climate. That's Temecula in California. Okay, so in Argentina, it's fruit forward. It's plummy with a velvety texture. The French Malbec, does anybody have a French Malbec? It's savory, tart, fruit and tannins, plum, meat, and blackberry. Okay. It's made in very small quantities around the world. Yeah, okay. And Lisa says hers is High Mountain Vines, Mendoza, and I think most of you will find that that is the case. Malbec was created in France as it's really been used as a blending wine. It's used in Bordeaux. It's mostly grown in Cahors in France, and that's just west of Bordeaux. And the reason is because where the location was, it didn't take off quite as well as Bordeaux did. And they tried to grow it in Bordeaux, and it was too wet. It's a very thin-skinned, sensitive grape, and it was too wet in Bordeaux proper. And so they would get a lot of rot in their vines. So Greer says, I love French Malbec. What is the difference? What is French Malbec? And so it's interesting. I was reading an article today. It's making a comeback. So those of you who are planning trips to France in the future, maybe distant future, but it's right outside of Bordeaux, and they're trying to bring back Cahors and make it much more of a tourist destination. So they're redoing the castles. They're really kind of opening the doors there and trying to bring tourism back there. So that's probably a great kind of rediscovered place to go. And they also sell Malbec in the Loire. They call it Côte or Auger. I don't pronounce that. I didn't pronounce it that well. But so if it's from France, it's going to be the opposite of Cahors. It's going to be the opposite of the Argentinian Malbec. It's going to be leathery, flavors of tart and currant and black plum and savory bitterness. It's going to be more tannic. It's going to be young, or if it's young, it's going to be blackberry, but a young blackberry, tobacco and coffee. If it's older, it's going to be meaty. And that's coming from the calcium component in the soil, in the limestone. Okay. Bye, Melissa. Thank you for joining. And Lisa Gilbert says she loves a fresh castle. Me too. Me too. And so it's going to have more pepper and spice too. So as we talk about all the time, French wines, better food wines, right? There's a lot more in there in terms of grit and tannin in order to age elegantly. And that's what acid and tannin do. They allow it to age more elegantly and bring out and last longer, really, and bring out more qualities as the wine ages. And the other thing about French Malbec, which some of you, I know there will be some specific comments, but it's got lower alcohol. It's made with lower alcohol purposely than in Mendoza. Okay, there is a section that's called the terrace in Cahors, and it's a little bit of soil and then limestone, and there is actually, that's the best area for Cahors Malbec, because the vines have to really struggle to grow through the limestone, and the soil is so thin, and so they're picking up lots of nutrients, and that's adding more components to the wine. Okay, so there's the soil affects the Malbec, and we talked about French Malbec. Now let's talk about Mendoza Malbec, because that's really where it's gone big. So in the 1900s, the grape was brought over to Mendoza, but it wasn't until 2000 that the government stabilized enough that people could invest in the wineries and in the infrastructure. And so in 2000, they started investing in the infrastructure in Mendoza. And in 2005, they started winning awards. And now they're just they're world-renowned Malbecs. They really put Malbec back on the map, not as a blending wine, but as a varietal on its own, and became one of the core varietals, classic varietals. If you get a Malbec from Mendoza, it's usually 100% Malbec. They don't blend. They're not adding anything in. I did find I have a Bordeaux blend from Argentina. It's Cab Merlot. So there are areas, and this is Valle de Uco. And so they do blends, but primarily they're doing Malbec. Okay, so it is a recent history, and it's interesting. And so you're going to see that, actually. We're going to see in the next 10 to 20 years, you're going to see Moldova. You're going to see all sorts of areas throughout the world that are growing different things. And I think, the areas in France that can adjust to the change in climate will do better if they're trying different grapes. But if they stick to what they've been growing traditionally, they may struggle a little bit. But you'll see a lot of the Eastern European countries are turning out really interesting wines, as is Chile. So anyway, why is Argentina, why is it so great for Malbec? Okay, I don't know if anybody's ever been to Argentina, but I want you to taste your wine, and I want you to think about, okay, what is the soil? What is the soil there? And those of you who have a pen and paper, if you want to write down, so you get the black fruit, what else are you getting? Let's see if it matches up with where your wine is from. Okay, so go ahead and taste it, and see if you can pull out some other things that you're tasting. Okay, Mendoza Malbec, by the way, tends to be around 15% alcohol. You can feel the warmth in your palate. You can feel the heaviness of the alcohol, and you can see it on your glass. You'll have long legs on your glass. Okay, and so Argentina, specifically Mendoza, is a desert, and it has a rain shadow from the Andes Mountains. So it's dry. And a long time ago, the Inca civilization created irrigation systems so that when the snow melts, it's directed down the Andes Mountains into the valleys in specific places. And so there's a deficit, there's enough water that they can, but it's corralled, so they can use it however they need it. It's also mineral rich because it's coming down through the mountain, okay? And so as the snow melts and comes down, it's picking up all this silt and it's also an old seabed. So Mendoza itself is on a plateau. The elevation, the altitude is already high. And then with the Andes up the side, a lot of the vineyards go up the side of the mountain. And so it's the ideal
Your brother
place.
should have joined.
Oh, Andy, Andes Mountain. So it's the ideal place to grow Malbec. Okay, so and I'm going to tell you why that is. It's such a thin-skinned grape. So in cool areas, it's a thin-skinned grape. So in Cahors, it's a thin-skinned grape. In Mendoza, on the higher altitudes, it's a thin-skinned grape because along the mountainsides, they get the breezes at night, and it's perfect because they get a diurnal shift, which means it's really hot and warm.
Were you saying one of them was thick and one of them was thin?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
You didn't.
Right. Yeah, not in the way. Sorry, Keith had heard me talking about it earlier because I just found it fascinating that the higher altitudes are really cold at night and really warm during the day and get a lot of sunshine. And so up the mountainside, so tend to be thicker skinned as well. Whereas on the valley floor, they're thinner skinned grapes. And so on the valley floor, they're not as good. It's not as high quality. And so there was one more thing I wanted to add on to why Malbec is so great. Or why that area is so great. But what it really ends up being is Malbec is a thin-skinned grape, so it is really dependent on sunshine, soil, and soil. Keith is singing Sunshine and Rain for me. And altitude and cooler air, okay? So Argentina has all of that. What's that?
And joy and pain.
And joy and pain, yes. And so Argentina has all of that, the sunshine, the altitude, the cooler air, so the big temperature shift, and the soil, okay? And so I have a lot of information here because there's so much to know. It seems like one varietal and one area that we're really focused in on. So how can it be so much? But different wines from different areas taste different even within Mendoza, Argentina. And so you need to know what you're getting. And so this wine that we're tasting tonight, that Keith and I are tasting, this is from the Uco Valley, and that's the premier area in Mendoza to buy wine, and it's a high elevation. And actually this winemaker, as I mentioned earlier, he came to Chuck's in town and signed my bottle, and his family works on the vineyards, but he does own the highest elevation vineyards, which are 4,000 feet above sea level in Mendoza. So he's making some really beautiful, nuanced wines, okay? And so so now when you guys have written down what you've tasted, so if you check where your wine is from, you're going to see different things, okay? So the primary area is the Uco Valley, UCO Valley. And those are the highest elevation vineyards. Clos de la Siete is one of the top names from there. And that's actually the Bordeaux blend that I have here. Yeah, if you can find these are beautiful, great price point. And by the way, Malbecs carry a great price point for what you get, and I'll cover that after. Okay, so you'll see Fournier, you'll see Domaine Bouquet, Bodega Lurton, Altos Los Hormigas. Those are all big houses in the Uco Valley. And what you're tasting in the Uco Valley usually is dense, layered black fruit, black plum, raspberry, blackberry, and you might get olives. There are savory notes in it, red pepper flakes, dusty cocoa powder-like finish. Those tend to be 18 and up. So does anybody have any from the Uco Valley? Okay, Marla is noting the food pairings. Okay. All right. And so I'll go through this pretty quickly. But some of you might have from the Maipu area, and I know my pronunciation is not, it's not great, but that would be more red fruit, red currant, pomegranate, boysenberry, red plum, cherry, with a touch of earthy cedar or tobacco. And then there's Barrancas, and that's slightly warmer than surrounding Maipu, and it's noted for producing wines with darker fruits and softer acidity.
So if like tobacco is in your wine, how does that yeast get in there?
The tobacco?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. And so that's really from the oak and from the bottle aging. So there are, the tannins can help bring out additional qualities like the leather, like the earth, while it's bottle aging. It's a live organism. And so, if you take a Chardonnay and you bottle age it, it doesn't have the ability to develop leather and earth qualities. But if you take a red wine, a lot of red wines, they will have the ability to do that. Okay. Now there's okay, my pronunciation's going to be awful. Hi, Melissa, welcome. Lujan de Cuello. And that is, if any of you have one from there, and I used to have a lot of those are ones you buy and you're drinking. We see a lot of those in the US. And that area is known for its luxury estates, but they also excel at value-driven second labels too. So you might see a bottle from there for 100, but you might also see a bottle from there for 20. Okay, and those are going to offer more black fruits, blackberries, boysenberry, plum sauce, black cherry, Asian spice notes, and a dusty or graphite-like finish. And then there also are subregions within that. So does anybody have one that they want to share where theirs are from to see if it matched up with what you wrote down? Some of you, by the way, may have San Rafael, which is south of Mendoza, and East Mendoza. And the areas that they say could be an up-and-coming region, that's East Mendoza. They haven't been making high-quality Malbecs. They're just getting going in East Mendoza. Okay. All right. So not lots of comments about where yours are from. I think that probably for most of you, they say Mendoza, Argentina, and maybe they don't specify. Lisa says hers are in the foothills of the Andes. Is that high or low? So that's going to be higher because it's not valley floor. And if it just says Mendoza, that's probably valley floor. Okay. So now we go back to what is a good wine? A good wine is a wine that you enjoy drinking. Marla's is an Alamos 2018 from Mendoza. Oh, it's from Alamos, right? Because hers is a Costco, a Kirkland blend. Okay, so here they come, all the specifics, all right? So if it just says Mendoza, usually it's valley floor. So it's a base level Malbec. It's going to be pretty fruity, and depending on how long they age it, 6 months to usually ones in the valley, they're not aging very long. Okay, so when we talk about what is a good wine, it's whatever you enjoy. But when we talk about what is a good Malbec, what we're looking at is what the altitude is, what region it is. Okay, and so Leslie said, so Greer's doesn't specify. I'm guessing valley floor. Leslie's is high in the foothills of the Andes. So it would be interesting to see how high, knowing that 4,000 usually tops out. A lot of them are at 3,000 ish, and Anne's says high mountain vines. So hers, and they could be a blend, right? It could be a blend of high mountain with valley, but the high mountain ones are going to have more complexity, and they'll be a better fruit product. Okay, much better fruit product. And so, and the ones on the valley floor are going to be more fruit driven with less nuances, less complexity to it. Okay, Leslie, thank you. That's a great comment. So Leslie says it's gravity flow winemaking. All right, so I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that. All right, it's becoming a big thing. It's no, Marla opened the $10 bottle. Okay, not the Kirkland blend, the Alamos, and that's a fine drinking wine like that. But it's going to be again one-dimensional, not so structured. And Lori's is a Kirkland, but again, it's a reserve, and it's from Mendoza. It could be high elevation. You'd have to read the back to look. Kirkland, which is the Costco brand, they'll bottle other people's wines. Okay, so Tina's, thank you for that conversion, 5,900 feet. So that's a very, very, very high vineyard. Okay, so those vines are struggling more. There's a higher diurnal shift, which means that they are warm in the day and really cold at night. So it slows down the fruit development. It allows the acid to build up, and you want acid because it gives it structure. Not too much acid, but enough so that it gives it structure. All right, Lori's Kirkland bottle says 5,000 feet. So my question would be, it could be a really good wine that just wasn't selling, that Kirkland got a hold of and bottled, or it could be a blend of 5,000.
Kirkland's got good stuff. Like they're
Right, but they're rebottling other people's.
Yeah, no, they are, but
they're not always good.
Oh, they aren't. Okay.
Yeah, no, they're definitely not always good.
Like their Scotch is Macallan.
Okay, so Anne says definitely more fruit driven than the Valley one, and Greer says what's considered high elevation. Okay, so high elevation. So Tina's is definitely 5,900 feet. That's high elevation. The gentleman who was pouring at the local wine store, he had said 4,000 feet for his. And so I think part of it depends where it is. He said that his was the highest elevation vineyard. So Tina's is higher than his at 4,000 feet. Okay, so I think those are high. If you're going to say, 1,000 feet, that's not high. And I don't know off the top of my head what the original elevation, and maybe you can check that on, what the original elevation in Mendoza on the valley floor is, because that already starts at a high altitude. Okay, so Jess Weller, hers is Red Rock from Mendoza, and they say high altitude plateau. So that's interesting. So we don't know if that's up the foothills, or if it's on a plateau that's up higher than the valley floor. Okay, so interesting. And Marla is saying hers is very complex. So the next thing I want to share with you guys, and those are such great.
2,449 feet.
Okay, so the valley floor in Mendoza is 2,000 feet. Okay,
2,500.
2,500, right?
Yeah.
2,000. Oh,
2,500.
2,500. 2,500, thank you. 2,500 square feet. So it's already starting high altitude, which tends to be harsher weather. And then it's rain deprived from the Andes. And then you have the slopes going up that are warm during the day and cold at night. And there's very good drainage in their soil as well. And there's alluvial soil there throughout, which is sand from riverbeds. And so it's just like this perfect winemaking area for Malbec, okay? Now, some of you, Cab does okay there, but some wouldn't do well there, like Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, they're not going to do well there. They're cold climate grapes. They're not going to do quite as well. Now, can you find a vineyard there that does well? Yes. Absolutely. Okay, Tina's wins. It's the highest up. Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about price points, because I know that a lot of you like to know, what should we be paying for the wine and what does that mean? All right, so you can find an exceptional bottle of wine for $50 to $130 from Mendoza, okay? What that means is that it's hand harvested. It's from a special site, probably one particular vineyard. And then it's been oaked for at least 12 months and in French oak. And that one you can age 10 to 20 years. Okay, so that's going to set it apart a little bit. It's going to have some additional characteristics to it, that tobacco, that chocolate, and it will slowly unveil itself. So as you drink the wine, you get the fruit, and then you get some additional taste qualities. And then it'll stay on your palate. These exceptional wines will stay on your palate longer, and you will taste more pleasant qualities on your palate. And if you age it 10 to 20 years, it smooths it out. If you drank it now, they'd be more tannic. If you aged it 10 to 20 years, it's going to smooth out the tannin and the acid. It's going to become more balanced, and more taste qualities will come out. Okay, so in 20 years, we'll have to meet back and try the other one I have over there. Mm-hmm. For $20 to $50, you can get a great bottle of Malbec. You can get a high-end reserve wine from select vineyards, again, high-quality producers, hand-harvested, absolutely, extended aging, and it brings out chocolate and it brings out velvet. And you can age that 7 to 11 years. So Leslie comments, hers was aged 8 months in French and American oak. So that's kind of in the middle. So the good quality ones are aged about 6 months. So that's towards the good quality, more entry level. And it's interesting that they used French and American oak. So French oak is going to be more kind of weedy. It's going to be, let me think about this, almost like a black pepper is what French reminds me of. And American oak is more it's more neutral, and it's more, well, it doesn't have to be neutral. Well, it is actually. American oak is more neutral, but it's going to bring different qualities to it. And so they will choose the oak that they'll use depending on what they want it to bring. And it depends on the cooper who makes it as well. Okay. And so these good wines, $10 to $20, which I know that a lot of you, that's what you purchased your wine at. These are they consider them entry-level wines, smooth, juicy, fruity style, without too much oak. And you can age those 5 years, believe it or not. And that's what I love about Malbec. It's highly accessible. Even, the $10 to $20 range, you can get good wines that have a lot to them. They have a big mouthfeel. You can drink these on your own, as I say, a porch sipper or by the pool, but they go with a ton of foods as well. Okay. So for a big, what would you pair this with? Any ideas? All right, I'm going to start. And if you have any cheese or fruit or food that you want to give it a try with, feel free. Grab it and try it. Okay? I have some cheddar. I'm going to try it with the cheddar. Okay? Note on food pairings, I always say this. If you taste the cheese and it tastes one way, and you add in the wine, and the wine didn't taste quite as good, it's not a good pairing. If the two together tasted well, that's a good pairing. Okay. So with spaghetti and meatballs tonight, how was it, Laura? Leslie says, yep, the Antigol. Oh, interesting. Okay. And there are first and second labels as well with some of these wineries. So you may have a wine that's in the $20 range, and it might be from a stellar winery, and they might have a higher label as well. So you get the descriptors and you get the elevation, but maybe they machine harvested it or other things. So Lori in general likes Malbec with steak, and Greer went with the steak tips on the grill. Okay. Now I'm going to guess, you guys tell me if it's a big heavy sauce on your steak tips, or the big, really like the prime butcher steak tips, big, heavy, thick, the Malbec may not go as well with it. It might taste a little bit more alcohol-y. It might mask the flavor. Melissa's going to get some cheese. All right, so we're going to try some cheddar. See if it pairs. Yeah, okay. And so when I ate the cheddar, I got some additional fruits. I also got a savory taste that goes with it that I wasn't getting quite as much before. So, and by the way, these wines are big, thick red wines. I'm not selling these anymore, but I was for a time. But they have these little, they have these little wipes so that as your teeth get red, and we all have those friends, I'm one of them, you can wipe off the wine. So that you don't get your wine, so you don't have your wine stains. All right, so Greer had plain steak tips and just some seasoning. So Greer, tell us how it went together, because Malbec is recommended with kind of a mid-stage meat. So duck, dark meat chicken, grilled mushrooms. They even say that it can go with peppers. Keith says moose, yes, because his mom's neighbor is putting some moose. So Marla's went with beef on a balsamic dressed salad. Yeah, some sharp, hard cheeses. Yep, like the cheddar. Blueberries and raspberries, interesting, and definitely the olives. So the olives add that savory piece. And eggplant fries with marinara sauce. Each brought out something different. Yeah, that's really interesting. And so Malbec truly is a versatile wine. And you can see, and again, from Mendoza versus from Cahors, I would serve different things. Leslie points out that a sharp cheddar made it richer, okay? And Greer liked the grilled flavor of the steak, okay? And so a Cahors Malbec is going to go well with a hard cheese, but it's so versatile, it can pair with anything from the beginning of the meal to the end. Lisa had Toscano and cheddar cheese that was good with it. Yeah. So some suggested food pairings: umami, earthy, or smoky food. So mushrooms, grilled mushrooms. Umami is like a savory type of flavor. Blue cheese, mushrooms, lighter meats, dark meat, chicken, duck, beef brisket, rosemary and thyme. So things with rosemary and thyme spices will bring out a different quality. Black pepper, clove, garlic.
Goes well with bad filters.
Funky and rich, soft to semi-firm cows and goat's milk cheeses. Keith was referring, by the way, to Rosemary and Thyme, the song. Roasted vegetables, lentils, and those of you who are vegetarians, black beans and rice, it goes well with. Okay. So some of the games that I like to play with wine, because Malbec is so smooth, and there's so much already to it. There's a lot of merit to it. It's always safe to order in a restaurant if you don't know what to pair, but you want a red wine. Always safe. Some of the things that you can do is, so if you feel like you open wine that's tannic, you can take a penny and dip it, clean your penny, and the penny might alter the flavor a little bit. It'll interact with it. Okay. Yes, Leslie, it does sound like your porterhouse would be good with it. Or get another bottle. So that's one thing that you can do to play with the wine. Other thing is, and I've said this for a few weeks, but people seem to really like it. If you pour, some people seem to really like it. If you pour your wine into a side glass, yes, this is a white wine glass, and you say, Alison, what does black pepper smell like? I know, I hear you saying black pepper. I can smell black pepper in the container. Okay, I can't really smell anything in this one. But what does it smell like in wine? Because I'm not picking it up, and there's black pepper in there. So what you can do is take a little bit of wine and pour in the black pepper. And I can hear some people getting totally stressed out. Don't worry, it's safe. Okay, now blend it up and smell it. And that is exactly what black pepper smells like in wine. Okay, so it doesn't smell the same on food and just out on a plate, but once it interacts with the wine, you pick up that scent. So now you smell it in your experiment. Now you go back to your regular wine. And are you smelling that smell in your wine? Make sure, Marla says, make sure you wash your pennies. I know. Maybe we'll wait on that one.
I don't like the taste of Lysol.
I didn't hear Scott Garoon. All right, so going back to Lori Bailey's question, she asked about vintages. So in 2015, now we've talked about what a good wine can age. A good wine, a very good wine, and an exceptional wine, how long they can age for Malbec. So what are your answers to Lori's question? So Lori says, my vintage is 2015. Lori, you can answer this. Is that old for a Malbec? What do you think?
No.
I'm not sure. Oh, Liz posted a picture of a nose. I wasn't sure what that was for just okay. And so nobody's answered that question, so I'm going to answer it because we have 1 minute left, unfortunately. So the question again is 2015 old? It is not old. So we're going to give it 20 years on an exceptional Malbec would be fine. As I've told you before, I can't keep them around that long. But this bottle of wine definitely could have aged for 10, 20 years. It has acid, but it's so smooth right now that I don't want to age it. I want to drink it now. But those of you who are working on building a collection may want to go for a wine like that. This one's a 2013. Actually, the one I'm drinking is a 2012, and this one's a 2013. So, and I just bought those last year. Okay, so definitely not old for Malbec. All right, any other questions? We reach, okay. Oh, Greer says, do I get a price? The older the vintage, the better. Do I get a price? I'm not sure what that means in terms of price, of do I get a price, Greer. But if you can text me later. All right. So thank you all very much for joining us tonight and playing a little bit with Malbec. As always, feel free to direct message me if you have any questions at all about wine. That's my favorite thing to do. And if anyone wants to book a virtual party, reach out. And we're updating my website now with some wine that I will be selling in the near future. So plus, of course, my card game and these are the taste qualities called out on the cards. And you can play war with them. You can play solitaire, but it's helping you kind of put words on what you are interested in. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for spending this hour with us. It was great for me, and if any questions, please reach out. Take care, be safe, see you all soon.